Well, fantastic. Apparently you guys actually like this schlock, so I get to make more of them. Yay! So I'll just start off by saying that I won't be covering what happened in Boston or Texas. As tragic as it may be, this new series is meant to make fun of all the ridiculousness that's going on in the news at the moment, and I'd rather not make fun of a tragedy. Now on to the more light-hearted stuff. Guess what the American government is doing? Yes, CISPA has returned. CISPA 2.0, Sister the sequel, CISPA the Revengeing. It is back, and it is more invading than ever. I'm assuming that the American government tried to bury this news under everything else that's going on, and the sad thing is that it's succeeding. No one is really paying much attention to this, and that's not a good thing. For those of you that don't know what CISPA is, its sole purpose is basically to allow companies and other private firms to search through your private and sensitive data and be able to share them with the US government and other private firms without the need for a warrant. The US government and private firms supporting the bill have defended themselves, saying that the searching of the information is used to find potential threats, and basically saying, if you have nothing to hide, then why are you worrying? I hate that explanation. If you have nothing to hide, why do you care? Well, I care because I'd rather not have people going through my emails and text messages. That's right. With this bill, the companies and US government can go through your emails and text messages. This isn't a good thing. If you have nothing to hide, then why do you care? It's the same reason that I didn't want police to be tapping my phone services, which was a similar bill that was going to be passed by the EU that didn't, thank God. This is the biggest invasion of privacy I've seen since Jimmy Savile offered to sign me his autograph. Now, people may be wondering why this has come back. Well, when all this SOPA and Piper and ACTA and CISPA stuff was going on last year, there wasn't really that much that was going on. Like, in the end, this bill is for the sole benefit of companies and private firms. This is an invasion of privacy against every single person in the US. And probably the rest of the world as well. Because the American government like to think they own the internet. They have, of course, made changes to the bill that was tried to be passed last year. Some of the amendments include allowing companies to hack people that they may see as a potential threat to cybersecurity. Potential threat to cybersecurity is probably the broadest term ever in one of these bills. Like, in the end, cybersecurity, what does that even mean? That doesn't mean anything. And potential threat could literally mean everyone. Even if you were the most unthreatening person in the world that wouldn't hurt a fly, you could be hacked by them. Thank God Obama has actually been the reasonable person and is threatening to veto the bill, which is a good thing. American citizens should not support this bill at all. It's not in their interests. It's solely in the interests of the companies that have paid the congressman to lobby for this bill. This is really bad considering tech companies like Microsoft, Google and IBM, who have previously rallied against bills like this, are in support of this bill. Bearing in mind Google has recently gotten in trouble for hacking people's Wi-Fi in their Google car as they were doing Street View. And this bill will make it legal for them to hack Wi-Fi, basically. What is especially broad is that the bill also uses the term national security, meaning that if a company sees you as a potential threat, even if you're not a citizen in the US, you could be liable to hacking as well, which means I could be, which means you could all be. There are, of course, some sane people rallying against this bill, including Mozilla, who invented Firefox, and Sir Tim Berners-Lee, who you should know as the guy who invented the fucking internet. When the guy who invented the internet is saying you probably shouldn't do this thing that could potentially destroy the internet, you should probably listen to him. In the end, this is just a paranoid, money-grubbing US government trying to spy on its citizens and citizens outside of the US as well. If this bill passes, then there is no hope for any of us on the internet anymore. Speaking of pointless tech innovations, a Dutch organisation called Mars One wants people to apply for a one-way trip to Mars. I think this is crazy. Like, Mars One has already received thousands of applicants. Like, this is a one-way trip, may I remind you. If you get there and change your mind, there is no way that you're allowed to come back to Earth. Of course, the whole project is actually going to be televised in a reality TV style show. This could add to the many, many disgusting reality TV shows, only this one is in space! Imagine the new MTV hit show, Martian Shore, the Big Brother style reality show in orbit. And of course, I'd be surprised if Simon Cowell didn't cash in on this by making the Mars Factor. Like, for me, as much as I'd love to one day make a trip to another planet, I think that would be fucking awesome. This is pointless. Like, I would get so bored if I was on that planet. Like, think about it. You don't have any internet access. You'd have virtually no contact with your home planet. You would have a limited supply of movies, games, books. I would be so bored. This is made even worse considering the fact that if you did decide, I want to go back to Earth after going on this one-way trip thing to Mars, then you wouldn't be able to go, considering the 7 to 8 month trip that it would take to get there would significantly reduce the bone and muscle mass of your body, and the lower gravitational field strength of Mars would make it virtually impossible for you to live again on Earth. You have to bear in mind that Mars is completely different to Earth in almost every way. The average temperature of there is around -20. The outside atmosphere is effectively a vacuum and has much higher radiation levels than here. You would have to live inside for the rest of your goddamn life. Remind me why it's a good idea to colonize this planet again? Like, if it was possible to get to one of those other planets that they're discovering like a bazillion miles away from Earth, then yeah, go ahead and colonize those planets, but not one that is not built for us at all. It would also really suck if you were to run out of food and water before the emergency top-ups got there. NASA astronaut Stan Love has also pretty much said that this is a dumb idea because he recently returned from Antarctica. He said Antarctica is a picnic compared to Mars. In Antarctica you can, for example, go outside, breathe the air, there is water there. And on Mars there isn't, you'd have to stay inside all the time. He says Antarctica is like paradise compared to Mars, and yet nobody has moved there permanently. Dr. Chris Lintott from Oxford University has also said that although this idea is fantastic and technologically plausible, he doubts it'll get the funding because who wants to waste money on something that they're not going to see any return on? Apart from, you know, getting to live on a planet that no one in their wildest dreams would want to live on. Of course, Mars One does plan to raise money for this by televising their application process. And to be honest, I would probably watch that, considering it would be fun to watch all the crazy people be put through all the rigorous testing, as you see all the things going through their head as they think, shit, I probably shouldn't have applied for this. And if you're not tired of crazy people yet, there is somebody in Essex that recently decided to make a living room in their garden. Before you ask why this is a newsworthy thing, this isn't in like her back garden or anything. No, this is in her front lawn. 47-year-old Debbie Ballard decided that when she was forced to remove an armchair from her garden, she protested by changing her garden into a living room. Before you ask what kind of an insane weirdo would do such a thing, here's a picture of her. She recently wrote to her local council with a picture of her new and improved front garden. She challenged the authorities to define what is rubbish and claimed that her new live-in space was a work of art. The local authorities responded to her saying, if you want to define it as art, then we'll speak to our arts officer. I love that she defended herself, saying, I'm a single mum with little to no income. I was waiting until I could afford to remove her chair. Yet, this is what she does with her money? She likens her art to acclaimed artist Tracey Emin. Tracey Emin is, of course, known for this work of art. In health, it has turned out that there is a measles epidemic in the UK. Of course, this is down to the retarded parents that refuse to administer their children life-saving vaccines after the scare that it would make their children retarded. For those of you that don't know, MMR is a two-part vaccine, one of which is administered when you're 1 year old and the second of which is administered while you are 3 years old. Back 10 or so years ago, there was a big scare among fundamentalist, stupid people that didn't know how to read a textbook that there was a proven link between autism and vaccinations. This has since been disproven, but people are still stupid and go on believing stupid things. I find it extremely moronic and sad that millions of children could succumb to this life-threatening disease because their parents didn't want them to administer with something because they thought it would give them a defect that happens at birth? This is for you, Andrew Wakefield, you and your fucking bribed study. Seriously, if you haven't received either one or two parts of the MMR vaccine, then I would really consider having it done now. They're administering it at schools and at local GPs. Don't succumb to death because your mummy knows better than you with her 1 GCSE in textiles. Oh, that's not an insult to my mum. Don't be silly. My mum doesn't have any GCSEs. The Norwegian government has recently backed an extremely ambitious plan to build one of the first ship tunnels? A tunnel for ships. Who'd have thunk it? Yes, a 45 metre high, 36 metre wide and 1.7 kilometre long tunnel is being built through a part of Norway's landscapes for ships. You know, they already have these sort of ways for ships to travel through the land. They're called canals. I'm sure it would actually be easier than tunneling through and building all the supports and stuff to just, you know, make a canal. I'm pretty sure it's easier to build something from the top down than from the down up. So you may have asked, why don't more countries do this? Because why do you need it? There are things called canals. There are things called rivers. There are easier ways to get through as a ship. Or, even better, you could stop off at one side of the land, get off the boat, walk to where the other part of body of water is, and get on another boat. But no, people don't like to use their legs. They just like to blow bits of the land apart with high-tech explosives and drills. The budget for this project is 1.7 million kroner, which equates to 193 million pounds. If our government were spending this sort of shit, there was no way that we'd forgive them for it. We would rip them a new arsehole. And amidst the Norwegian scientists saying that they had a groundbreaking discovery, someone from the University of Southampton said, it's actually not of massive engineering significance. He pointed out that there are already things called canal tunnels, and the only thing that makes it different is the size. So really, this isn't invention, this is just innovation. This isn't the world's first boat tunnel, this is the world's first big boat tunnel. I really don't see why this is newsworthy apart from a Norwegian government spending money that I'm pretty sure it doesn't have. So Disney recently announced, after acquiring Lucasfilm and then subsequently shutting down LucasArts, that as of 2015, Star Wars is pretty much going to become a yearly franchise with a new movie being released every year. There's only one explanation for this. And you thought George Lucas was bad. What did you think was going to happen when George Lucas handed over this beloved merchandise franchise to one of the largest merchandising companies in the world? I'm not saying these movies are going to be bad, of course. I'm just saying that a lot of them are going to come out. This series of films will, of course, include the new trilogy directed by J.J. Abrams. Oh, what is with that lens flare? As well as a lot of spin-off films, including one that's rumoured to be about Yoda, another that's rumoured to be about Boba Fett, and another that's rumoured to be about Han Solo. Yeah, Disney ain't fucking around. When it was announced that Disney were going to be taking over Star Wars, I was overjoyed. Like, two of my favourite things in all of cinema, Disney and Star Wars, excluding the prequels, are going to come together. Like, considering what they did with Marvel, with the Avengers, I expected only good things from this. And to be honest, I expect mostly good things from a yearly thing. Like, considering it's going to be made by different teams, the spin-off films of which are going to be written by someone that worked on Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. I think this might actually be really good, considering George Lucas doesn't have his filthy hands meddling in everything. Or does he? Let's hope not. It would kind of suck if it did. Of course, this goes hand in hand with the rumours that the starring cast of the original trilogy, Mark Hamill, who played Luke Skywalker, Carrie Fisher, who played and Harrison Ford, who played Han Solo. To be honest, as excited as I am for the new cast returning, I also kind of don't want them to, if that makes sense. Hear me out here, like, it was awesome when they were in the old films, but seeing them come back now that they're all old people, it's... Remember when Indiana Jones 4 came out? One of the major complaints was Indiana Jones is old in this. It just completely detracts from his badass character. And I feel the same about Han Solo, which is... he's a badass character. Having him be an old man who will most likely be a family man with a couple kids to Leia, it'll detract from it, I think. I hope not, but I think. I'm just going to end by saying that 2015 is looking to be a good start for films, considering Avengers Phase 3 will probably be starting by then. And then this new string of Star Wars films, Disney is going to be making the money. Of course, guys, I wish you to have a wonderful week and... have a good 420 as well. If you excuse me, I have some business to attend to.